Medicine, either conventional or traditional, is a major contribution to the well-being of a human being. But just what is the first thing that people do when they are unwell?
Huwa nikiumwa na kichwa, naenda chemist, nanunua dawa kama painkiller yoyote tu na kunywa. Kama nimekunywa naweza lala. Nikilala nikiamka ndakuwa nishapona kichwa.
Nikiumwa na tonsils sana sana mimi huchemsha maji because it's not a must I have to go to the hospital.
Usually what I do when I'm not feeling well, I just go to a chemist, I explain to the physicians or the pharmacist and he gives me the medicine.
Kama ninaumwa na kichwa tuseme, halafu nasikia baridi, niko na fever hivi, niko likely kuwa na suffer from nini? Malaria.
Yeah.
All drugs have side effects and some side effects are dangerous.
There are over 2,500 registered operational chemists in the country, with about 1,000 in Nairobi County. It is not uncommon to see people walking into a chemist and purchasing medicine over the counter without a doctor's prescription, or purchasing medicine following rumor-based prescriptions, where one person recommends a given drug to someone else because it worked for them. According to Dr. Geoffrey Magada, a general physician, people self-medicate out of ignorance, peer pressure, or to avoid incurring the cost of seeing a doctor.
People also self-medicate out of attitude. They have the money, they have the ability to see the doctor, but they think that the doctor will give them the same thing, and therefore they see no reason as to why they should go, and yet it's the same drug that will be prescribed to them.
Meet Enrica Oduba, a Nairobi resident who is a victim of rumor-based prescription and self-medication.
I developed asthma about 13-15 years ago. I was treated intravenously. I was given, I think I was put on aminophylline, some asthma treatment. Then after that, I used to have recurrent, all the time, most of the times I used to have asthmatic attacks.
Enrica would always consult a doctor for her condition, but at one point, she realized that celestamine would always suppress the allergies and asthma attacks, so she started purchasing the medicine over the counter without a doctor's prescription.
I discovered there was celestamine, which each time when I was having allergies, each time I could feel like, I just feel like itching, my ears, sneezing, wheezing, I ran for celestamine. I said, thank God, whoever brought celestamine. So each time I used to go to the counter, then I'm asked, have you been taking this? I say, oh yeah, I've been taking this. Take celestamine in the morning. By 1 o'clock, again, I feel like I need celestamine. I take celestamine. If I go to one pharmacy and they tell me, no, you've taken enough celestamine, I'll change the pharmacy, I'll go to another one.
Celestamine does have a steroid in it. And steroids can weaken our bones. Steroids can affect our sugar control. Steroids can make us add weight and retain water and therefore affect the heart.
The side effects of the steroid drug did not spare Enrica, and she became hypertensive and added a lot of weight. At one point, Enrica walked into a chemist to purchase the celestamine, and that's where she was advised differently. The doctor was to prescribe a different drug, and that's when Enrica realized that she has been hurting herself.
He asked me, must you take celestamine? I said, yeah, I must take celestamine because celestamine helps me. How long have you taken it? I said, for this number of times, maybe for a year continuously. Then he told me, no reaction. I told him, yeah, I'm asthmatic. And he told me, it's not good for your health. I said, yeah, but you see, I've even had an acute renal failure because of over-the-counter drugs and whatever, but celestamine helps me. And he told me, no, I'm going to introduce you to another drug. I told him, those other drugs don't work for me. Celestamine works for me. So he told me, no, I have an option.
According to Dr. Chris Liambila, a pharmacist at Mediscan Pharmacy in Westlands, there are drugs like antibiotics that are not supposed to be dispensed over the counter without a doctor's diagnosis and prescription.
Antibiotics are usually prescribed, and they're supposed to be prescribed by a therapist, a non-therapist. Not just somebody who comes and says, I want an antibiotic, and they're given. But they are given, Becky. They're given, people are given. You go to pharmacies, they'll give you. Why? Because we have become a bit more too commercial. I don't know. I can't say that we are not being controlled. We are being controlled effectively by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. But the problem is that our corruption in Kenya.
Now I want to do something. I want to walk into some of the chemists located in Nairobi CBD and find out if they're going to sell to me Augmentin. Augmentin is an antibiotic which is not supposed to be sold over the counter without a doctor's prescription. But in my case, I don't have a prescription. But I want to see if they're going to sell the drug to me. But I need to disguise myself. That's why I'm not in my usual Tazama t-shirt. I want to wear this hat rather. And put on a pair of glasses. And here we go. Let's find out if they're going to sell the drug to us. Hello, sasa. Uko na Augmentin?
Tuko naye. Mtoto mama.
Ya mtu mkubwa. Mnauzaje?
200.
Kwa dose.
Ya hiyo ndio tunauza dose yote.
Siwezi take kama half.
If you notice on this clip, the attendant does not ask me for a doctor's prescription. Neither does he ask what I'm going to treat. When I asked if I could get half a dose, the man refutes, but this lady, who I suppose is the boss, says he can go ahead and sell it to me. I purchase the medicine and leave. I move on to the next chemist.
Hello. Do you have Augmentin?
Yeah.
How much?
Augmentin, which one?
It's what milligrams? It's what? Yeah, adults. Yeah, adults. I have to take the whole dose.
I take either half dose or a full dose.
Here, they're willing to sell the medicine to me, but I tell them the dose is too expensive, so I ask for half a dose, which they're still willing to sell, but I claim not to have that much money. And that's when the attendant decides to ask me what I'm suffering from and suggests a different but cheaper medication.
No, I'm saying that's the only drug I can take for 20
The patient is entitled to full information on how to use the medicine in terms of what activities, food, or drinks to avoid. A patient is equally supposed to know how to calculate the time in between when to take the drugs, all of which I didn't experience while purchasing the drugs.
I have my half dose of Augmentin and a receipt to show for it. I actually bought this over the counter without a doctor's prescription, and they sold half a dose to me, and it's actually an antibiotic. To stop this self-medication vice, there has to be efforts from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, from the pharmacists who sell these drugs to patients without a doctor's prescription, and also from the patients who buy these drugs over the counter without a doctor's diagnosis and prescription.